Russian President Vladimir Putin says Ukraine has opened, quote, a Pandora's box by hitting economic targets in Russia. It comes after Ukraine says it hit the warehouse of a Russian online retailer and an oil refinery overnight. The refinery is in the Samara region, some 1,000 kilometers from the front line. This after Russia's double-tap drone strike on a shopping center in Ukraine that killed 16 people on Friday. Several others are still missing. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy called the strike cynical and despicable. The attack comes as Germany's foreign minister visits Kyiv in a show of solidarity with Ukraine.
All that's left of a shop in the Sun Gallery shopping centre. A Russian drone strike set the mall ablaze, and half an hour later, a second attack hit as rescue workers responded. Several people with serious injuries are being treated in hospital.
There was an explosion behind me. The blast wave threw me back. I fell to my knees and then ran away. It cut me from both sides.
There are no patients with damage to only one organ, such as a limb or a traumatic brain injury. These are all multiple injuries with damage to multiple systems and organs.
The attack in Kryvyi is one of a series of deadly strikes over the past 24 hours. During a visit to Kyiv, German Foreign Minister Wadephul condemned Russia's war of aggression.
Putin
has even intensified his war. He's deliberately terrorizing civilians and attacking civilian infrastructure with swarms of missiles and drones. Ukrainians feel this every day and every night, even here in Kyiv. July was the deadliest month for civilians in over 4 years. These aren't just numbers. These are human beings.
Meeting with President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, Wadephul pledged Germany's continued support for Ukraine and expressed hope that Russia could be brought to the negotiating table.
I'm happy to bring in DW Special Correspondent Max Zander on the ground in Kyiv to unpack some of this. Max, the German foreign minister timed the trip deliberately, arriving days before independence celebrations and accusing Russia of indiscriminate murder of civilians. Beyond symbolism, the optics, what's Berlin offering Kyiv right now?
Right, Michael. So indeed, yes, this is a highly symbolic day. On Monday, Ukraine will be marking 35 years of independence. So this is something that Foreign Minister Wadephul stressed when he arrived at the train station this morning. In addition to that, he said he wanted to see the situation that Ukrainians were going through with these increased attacks, with these increased Russian ballistic attacks. He also directly addressed German voters, reminding them that while they were on vacation, enjoying the summer, that Ukrainians here were not getting a break from the war. And if it comes to concrete pledges, the foreign minister announced that 50 million euros would go to humanitarian aid for people living in frontline territories, essentially now in summer already preparing them for what looks like is going to become a very difficult winter. So mobile heating blocks, helping with restoring destroyed homes, sanitary blocks, that kind of thing. And an additional 10 million euros will come from Germany for a NATO fund. This is going to go to anti-drone systems, mobile energy systems for the armed forces. The big question, air defense, is something that the foreign minister also touched on, but so far there has not been a satisfying answer.
As far as air defense goes, we know what Paris is offering. Emmanuel Macron says France will deliver new interceptor missiles as Kyiv's air defenses run low. Will this be seen as actually closing the gap or another incremental pledge?
Right, so France has been very helpful, very forthcoming in the recent past when it comes to helping with air defenses. They have pledged their own SAM-T air defense system and allowed the Ukrainians to produce interceptors with a license just recently. Now they're pledging additional interceptors. The question is what exactly is being pledged and how much of that. But if you have a look at what German defense minister Boris Pistorius earlier this year did when he went to multiple countries to gather remaining interceptor missiles for the U.S.-made Patriot system. He came up with something that was just short of 3 dozen interceptor missiles. If you look at how Russia is attacking Ukraine at the moment, not just Kyiv, but cities across the entire country, right now, the past 2 months on average, with 100 ballistic missiles, something that could be in the range of just a few dozen missiles, the Ukrainians would run through that in the matter of weeks.
I'm going to go back to the German foreign minister again. As you know, Johann Wadephul called this the deadliest summer for Ukrainians in 4 years. And that was before today's attacks and yesterday's strike on a shopping center that killed 16 people some 350 kilometers southeast of the capital. Is it the sense that Russia's deliberately escalating ahead of Monday's anniversary? And how is Kyiv adjusting its air defenses?
Right, so whenever there's a holiday in Ukraine, be it connected to Ukraine or just a global or international holiday like New Year's or Christmas, over the past 4 years, you'd see oftentimes they would coincide with or correlate with mass large-scale attacks. Now, I would be careful to make a direct conclusion here at the moment because this escalation that we're looking at right now has been going on for weeks, if not months. The Ukrainians have been very successfully targeting targets in Russia with mid and deep strikes. The Russians have been relentlessly shelling the Ukrainian capital, but also other cities across the entire country. Right now, in terms of adjusting air defenses, there's not much Ukraine can do because they don't have an adequate weapon or enough interceptors to deal with this sheer amount of ballistic missiles that's raining down on Ukrainian cities multiple times every week. So the only thing that people can do now at the moment is, or what the Ukrainian authorities can do, is move assets to protected sites or underground and for people to hide in safe places, in shelters, like the metro, for example.
World leaders arrive Monday for a coalition of the willing talks with potentially new aid packages expected. After so many rounds of pledges, Max, what would actually move the needle this time?
Right, so there's a meeting to be held on Monday. Some of the leaders will likely come to Kyiv, others will dial in. It's supposed to be a hybrid meeting from what I've heard. What exactly is on the agenda, I'm not exactly sure at the moment. They will certainly talk about air defense issues. This is also something Johann Wadephul today spoke about, that this would be a topic for the next week. Not clearly indicating if this was going to be part of this actual meeting, but what the coalition of the willing does also is focus on long-term strategies to end the war and for a time in post-war, essentially. So likely we'll hear more about how to keep Russia from making money, likely additional sanctions, probably sanctions regime, and dealing with the shadow fleet. This is something I'd assume would be on the agenda on Monday.
Okay. DW's Max Zander. Thanks, Max.